Have you ever lain awake at night, your heart heavy, your mind racing, replaying the words, the betrayal, the injustice that someone inflicted upon you? That pain is real. The feeling of being wronged, of having your trust shattered, of being taken advantage of. It can feel like a wound that refuses to heal. In those moments, it's natural to feel a storm of emotions, anger, sadness, and a desperate desire for things to be made right. We want the world to see the wrong that was done to us. We want, if we're honest, for that person to feel the consequences of their actions. But here is where our faith offers us a profound and liberating truth. The court of this world is temporary, but the court of the Almighty is absolute. The feeling that you have been wronged is one of the most corrosive and heavy emotions a human being can carry. It sits in the pit of your stomach, a hard knot of resentment and pain. It replays in your mind like a broken record, each repetition etching the injustice deeper into your soul. In the quiet of the night, it shouts the loudest, reminding you of the betrayal, the harsh word, the unfair action, the trust that was shattered like glass. This pain is not an illusion. It is a very real test from the one who tests his servants to elevate them. And in the heart of this storm, our Iman, our faith, offers us not just a life raft, but an entire ship to carry us to the shores of peace. The first and most fundamental step in this journey is the profound internalization of a single, transformative truth. Allah is aware, fully, completely, and perfectly aware. This awareness of Allah is not a passive, distant observation. It is an active, encompassing knowledge that captures every dimension of the injustice. When the Quran says, "Do not think that Allah is unaware of what the wrongdoers do," it is a direct address to the wounded heart that whispers, "Does anyone see my pain? Does anyone care?" This verse cuts through that doubt with the sharpness of divine certainty. He saw the slight that was hidden from others. He heard the whispered lie that was meant to tarnish your name. He knows the intention behind the action, whether it was deliberate malice or careless disregard. He has counted the tears you cried in the solitude of your room, tears you were too proud to shed in public. Every single moment of your anguish is recorded in a register that never errs, the Law al-Mahfuz. This is the foundation upon which everything else is built. Without this unshakable belief, the entire structure of patience and trust crumbles. We are, in essence, being asked to trust the justice of a system whose judge we cannot see, but whose evidence is absolute. This divine awareness is what makes the act of transferring the burden not an act of surrender, but an act of supreme intelligence and faith. Think of it as a heavy, precious package you are carrying to a destination far away. You are struggling under its weight, your muscles straining, your energy depleting. Then a trusted, infinitely powerful and reliable courier appears and says, "I know exactly where this needs to go. I know the rightful recipient and the perfect time for its delivery. Let me carry it for you." What would you do? Only a person who doubts the courier's ability or intention would stubbornly cling to the burden, exhausting themselves unnecessarily. This is the analogy of our pain. We clutch onto the burden of seeking justice, of wanting to orchestrate the downfall of the one who hurt us, because we fear that if we don't, it will never happen. We appoint ourselves as the judge, the jury, and the executioner, a role for which we are profoundly unqualified, and which drains our spiritual and emotional resources. Transferring the case to the divine court means consciously and deliberately letting go of this self-appointed role. It is an act of a tawakkul, complete reliance upon Allah. It is whispering in your heart, "You are al-Hadl, the just, you are al-Hakam, the judge. You see what I cannot see. You know the whole story while I only know my chapter. I therefore place this matter in your hands, and I trust your judgment and your timing." This is not a one-time declaration, but a daily, sometimes hourly practice. Every time the memory of the hurt surfaces, accompanied by the old urge to retaliate or despair, you consciously reaffirm your decision. "I have handed this over to you. It is no longer my burden to carry." The practical manifestation of this transfer is twofold. The first is in your actions. It is to embody the Quranic command, repel evil with that which is better. This is the active component of trust. You are not repaying silence with silence, nor hatred with hatred. You are repelling the negativity with the superior force of dignity, patience, and when possible, a calm and measured goodness that confounds the expectations of the wrongdoer. This is not being a doormat, it is being a mountain that cannot be moved by the wind. It is a demonstration that their actions have not corrupted your core character, which is defined by your relationship with Allah, not your reaction to people. The second manifestation is in your dua, your supplication. This is your direct channel to the divine court. Here you can lay your case before the judge without filter. You can cry, you can ask for justice, for your rights to be restored. The Prophet Yaqub A.S., upon losing his son Yusuf, did not pretend he was not in pain. He said, "If I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah," he took his immense sorrow directly to the one who could actually do something about it. This is the model for us. However, the ultimate beauty of our faith is that it guides us beyond a mere plea for retribution. It elevates our dua to a more powerful and liberating plane. We are encouraged to pray, "O Allah, guide them if they are misguided. O Allah, grant me better than what they took from me. O Allah, replace this pain with a peace and a provision that is better for me in this world and the next." In this prayer, you achieve multiple victories. You free your own heart from the poison of wishing ill upon another. You open the door for Allah's mercy to potentially guide the wrongdoer, and you position yourself to receive a compensation from Allah that is far greater than whatever was lost. You are, in effect, trading a temporary, worldly satisfaction for an eternal divine reward. This entire process, knowing Allah sees, trusting His justice, responding with goodness, and praying with a lofty intention, is what it means to transfer the burden. It is the ultimate spiritual hack for a heart under siege. It transforms you from a victim of circumstance into an active participant in your own spiritual liberation. The weight lifts not because the situation has changed, but because your heart has changed its relationship to the situation. You are no longer carrying the load. You have handed it to the one whose strength is infinite, whose justice is perfect, and whose plan for you is always ultimately one of mercy and elevation. The feeling of injustice, that sharp, cold sting of being wronged, can settle deep within the soul, becoming a constant, unwelcome companion. It is a weight that bends the spirit, a noise that disrupts the peace of the heart. In the silent, vulnerable hours of the night, this feeling often swells into a deafening roar, replaying the scene of the betrayal, the harshness of the words, the sheer shock of the act over and over again. It is a relentless mental loop that feeds a storm of secondary emotions. A boiling anger that demands retaliation, a profound sadness that mourns a lost trust, and a desperate aching need for the world to witness the wrong and acknowledge your pain. There is a raw, human part of us that craves a specific outcome term for the one who caused the hurt to truly understand the depth of the wound they have inflicted, to feel the consequences of their actions in a way that mirrors our own suffering. We want the scales to be balanced, and we often feel it is our responsibility, our burden, to be the one who balances them. It is precisely at this precipice of emotional turmoil that faith extends its most profound and liberating truth. It offers a paradigm shift so radical that it can fundamentally alter how we experience pain and navigate the world. This truth is the unwavering belief that while the court of this world is temporary, flawed, and often blind to the nuances of the heart, the court of the Almighty is absolute, perfect, and sees everything with utter clarity. The entire edifice of finding peace amidst persecution is built upon this single unshakable cornerstone, the divine awareness of Allah. This is not an abstract theological concept to be acknowledged and then filed away. It is an active, living, breathing certainty that must be internalized until it becomes the very lens through which we view our hardships. When the Quran declares, "And us do not think that Allah is unaware of what the wrongdoers do," it is not merely offering a passive consolation. It is issuing a direct, powerful rebuttal to the silent scream of the wounded heart that wonders, Is anyone witnessing this? Does my pain even register in the grand scheme of things? This verse is a divine assurance that cuts through the fog of doubt and isolation. It confirms that every single aspect of the injustice has been witnessed, recorded, and understood in its entirety. He saw the subtle slight designed to be invisible to others. He heard the whispered calumny meant to assassinate your character in secret. He knows the hidden intention that festered in the heart of the wrongdoer, whether it was calculated malice or a casual cruelty born of sheer indifference. More than that, he has counted every tear you have shed in the lonely solitude of your room, tears you were too proud or too broken to show the world. Each moment of your anguish, each pulse of your heart-touch is meticulously inscribed in a preserved tablet, the Law al-Mahfuz, where nothing is lost, forgotten, or diminished. This comprehensive awareness is the non-negotiable foundation. Without this deep-seated conviction, any attempt at patience becomes a fragile act of willpower, easily shattered by the next wave of resentment. We are being asked to place our trust in a celestial justice system whose judge we cannot see with our physical eyes, but whose evidence is infallible and whose knowledge is complete. It is this foundational belief in divine awareness that transforms the act of transferring the burden from a sign of weakness into the ultimate expression of spiritual intelligence and strength. Imagine yourself carrying a massive, cumbersome chest filled with the heavy artifacts of your grievance, the bitter memories, the plans for counter-attack, the weight of your righteous indignation. You are stumbling under its load, your back aching, your spirit fatigued from the effort of carrying it every minute of every day. Then, the most powerful, trustworthy, and precise courier imaginable approaches you. This courier knows the exact destination for this chest. He knows the identity of the rightful recipient and the perfect, most opportune moment for its delivery. He extends his hands and says, "Relieve yourself, I will take this from you. I know the path, I know the timing, and I guarantee its arrival." To stubbornly cling to the chest out of a mistrust of the courier's capability or intent is not strength. It is a foolishness that leads to self-inflicted exhaustion. This is the precise dynamic we engage in when we refuse to let go of the burden of seeking personal vengeance. We appoint ourselves as the sole arbiters of justice, a role for which we are profoundly ill-equipped, a role that consumes our inner peace, stains our hearts with bitterness, and distracts us from our true purpose in life. To transfer the case to the divine court is therefore a conscious, deliberate, and profoundly active decision to resign from this self-appointed position of judge and executioner. It is the practical application of tawakkul, a complete and utter reliance upon Allah. It is the internal dialogue, the heartfelt whisper that says, "You are al-adl, the utterly just. You are al-hakam, the judge of all judges. Your vision encompasses all that is seen and unseen. You know the entire narrative from beginning to end, while I am trapped in the limited perspective of my own single chapter. You understand the hidden causes, the mitigating circumstances, and the ultimate wisdom that is entirely beyond my comprehension. Therefore, I formally place this entire matter into your capable hands. I trust your judgment implicitly, and I submit to your perfect timing. This is not a one-time ritual performed and then forgotten. It is a continuous practice, a spiritual discipline that must be renewed constantly. Every time the ghost of the hurt rises to haunt you, every time the old, familiar anger begins to simmer, you must consciously and willfully reaffirm your contract of trust. I have already handed this over to you. It is no longer my problem to solve or my wound to avenge. It is now your affair. This internal transfer of responsibility manifests itself in two critical outward domains: our actions and our supplications. In the realm of action, it is embodied by the Quranic imperative veda sevis, repelli evil with that which is better. This is the active, living proof of your trust. You are not merely passively ignoring the wrong or replying to hatred with a cold, silent hatred of your own. You are actively repelling the negative energy directed at you with the superior, more powerful force of dignified restraint, conscious patience, and when you have the strength, a calm and measured goodness that leaves the wrongdoer bewildered. This response is not weakness, it is the ultimate strength. It is the strength of the deep ocean that remains unmoved by the tempest raging on its surface. It is a clear signal that your character is defined by your connection to the divine, not by your reflexive reaction to the misdeeds of others. You remain the author of your own actions, refusing to let another person's poor behavior dictate your own. The second, and perhaps most powerful, manifestation is in the sanctuary of dua, your personal direct line of communication with the Lord of the worlds. This is your opportunity to present your case before the divine judge without needing a lawyer, without formal procedures, and without fear of being misunderstood. Here, in the privacy of your prayer, you can be utterly raw and honest. You can pour out your grief, your confusion, and your desire for justice. You can explicitly ask for your rights to be restored and for the truth to be unveiled. The example of Prophet Yaqub is our guide here. After the loss of his beloved son Yusuf, he did not bury his pain or pretend it did not exist. He openly declared, "If I only complain of my suffering and my grief to Allah." He took his monumental sorrow directly to the only one who could truly alleviate it and bring about a resolution. This is our model. However, the sublime beauty of Islamic teachings is that they then guide our dua to an even higher, more liberating plane. We are encouraged to move beyond a simple plea for retribution and towards a prayer that seeks a greater, more comprehensive good. We learn to pray, "O Allah, if they acted out of ignorance, guide their hearts. O Allah, whatever good they deprived me of, replace it with something superior from a source I could not have imagined. O Allah, use this pain to purify my heart and elevate my status in the hereafter." In this elevated form of supplication, you achieve a multitude of victories simultaneously. You detoxify your own soul from the corrosive poison of wishing ill upon another creation. You open the door for Allah's boundless mercy to potentially touch and rectify the one who wronged you. Most importantly, you position yourself to receive a compensation from Allah's infinite treasure, a compensation that is not merely equivalent to what was lost, but one that is exponentially better and more lasting. You are in a divine transaction, trading a temporary worldly satisfaction for an eternal celestial reward. This entire process, from the intellectual acceptance of Allah's all, encompassing awareness, to the emotional decision to trust His plan, to the practical embodiment of that trust through noble conduct and profound supplication, constitutes the true meaning of transferring the burden. It is the ultimate strategy for a heart under siege. The heavy weight begins to lift not necessarily because your external circumstances have changed, but because your heart has undergone a fundamental metamorphosis in its relationship to those circumstances. You are no longer carrying the crushing load. You have consciously handed it over to the one whose strength is limitless, whose justice is flawless, and whose plan for you is, from beginning to end, an intricate tapestry of mercy, wisdom, and ultimate elevation.